I tell people, if you're a business owner, like, congrats, you're a copywriter. There's an email that has to get written. There's a social post that has to get out. It's so much goes hand in hand. It is perhaps the most important skill you can have. Your business has three basic
You're absolutely
needs.
right. It is like one of the most important skills.
The most important. You have to know how to sell in a way that feels good. If you don't have buyers, you don't have a business. That's number one. You have to know how to call in the right people to sell to. We know this is audience growth or lead generation. And then in order to make 1 and 2 happen, you have to know what to say and how to say it so you can call in the right people to sell to. This is why copy and messaging is like that foundation that's so important.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Empire Secrets. Marisa Corcoran is with me today. There are about a handful of copywriters that I really pay attention to. Marisa's one of them. Her emails are funny. They're filled with personality, which I absolutely love, not just because of what I'm seeing her doing. I met her through Brenna McCowan, who's been on the show before. We've talked about pre-launch, but I also think her content online is entertaining. Marisa is going to talk today about something called the word closet. Actually, I'm going to understand a little bit better what that concept is. Well, when I think about word closet, is like, what are the things that kind of will resonate with me when people hear them? That's what comes to mind. Marisa, you are the creator of the Copycat Summit, which we're going to talk about. It's going to be coming soon. Are you typically Q1 of the year? And she has a really awesome stat with some of her landing pages that she's created, anywhere from like 50 to 60% conversion rates on landing pages. So absolutely somebody I want to hear from in terms of somebody who knows how to write copy really well. So Marisa, come on in to your mic, dive right into what the heck is a word closet, my friend.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This is fun. Yeah, so your word closet. So just if you were going to do a photo shoot, if you were going to go do a photo shoot, it's likely that the photographer or whoever you're working with would say, "Okay, Mariana, we need to go and look at, I need you to tell me what your go-to colors are. I need you to pop into your closet. I need you to tell me, what do you typically gravitate towards?" So for me, it's a lot of, black. I'm wearing tan today. Leopard. I always say I have a lot. I'm not a fan of cat.
Definitely pink and leopard.
I know I love a leopard. I have all these like cat prints. So it's knowing those go-to colors, things that look good on you in the same way that you would do in a photo shoot. We can do the same thing for our copy and make a list of our go-to words and phrases that can help our copy sound a bit more like us. So a lot of times people are saying, "Oh, you want to sound like you in your copy. You want to bring more personality to your copy." And it kind of just ends there, right? And it's like, okay, we may know how to do this in our personal life, but how do we bring that into the business, especially if we are kind of creating a brand where we're at the center of it or we're the focus? Like, how do we bring our personality in? So the word closet is a very simple way you can do that and start subbing out words that sound like everybody else, or if you're using something like ChatGPT, right, that can maybe get you a little bit further along, you can use something like the word closet to then go back through and sub out some of those more generic words or phrases with things that you would say. So your audience starts to get to know you and associate you with this, and your copy really sounds like you. So there's 2 parts to this. There's the word closet, and then there's also your accessories closet. And I'm going to show you how these go together. So your word closet. So from my word closet, I tend to say jazzed a lot, like instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled to be here." It's a word that I use a lot. So that's in my word closet. I grew up Italian, so I tend to say like from soup to nuts, from beginning to end. So instead of saying from beginning to end, I'll say from soup to nuts. So things like that that are in my word closet. Then your accessories closet is making a list. So when people come into the Copy Confidence Society, which is our signature program that helps business owners craft what we call your uncopyable message and the personality-filled copy that dazzles, the very first things you do is do this exercise. Create your word closet, create your accessories closet. So when you create your accessories closet, it's also making a list of your favorite things. We give you a bunch of questions. You don't have to know exactly how it will fit in. I'll show you.
Okay.
But it's thinking like your favorite cookie, your favorite toothpaste, your favorite drink. You're just making this list. So again, you can sub out some of these cliched statements and make it sound more like you. So for example, when people join my email list and they get that very first welcome email, instead of it saying, "Hi, Mariana, welcome to my email list," it says, "Holy white chocolate covered Oreos at Christmas," because that's my favorite cookie, is a white chocolate covered Oreo. You could also say, "Holy Mariah Carey at Christmas," right? Whatever your favorite, right? Holy white chocolate covered Oreos at Christmas, Mariana. I'm so jazzed you're here. As promised, here's the 50 plus scroll stopping subject lines, which is our free gift. So right away, I'm creating personality and showing who I am without doing much. I've changed the opening from like a hello, from that kind of typical what people are used to seeing, to adding things like that in there. So you can make your list of your words, or always going through and looking at my copy to say, does this truly sound like me? And the way that we're going back is to look in the word closet and look at the accessories closet.
So interesting. I love how you're basically replacing kind of obviously generic things, or you're capitalizing on this amazing real estate that is that in this example, the first email, the first few lines. You are obviously, I'm guessing, sprinkling the word closet and the accessory words throughout your copy everywhere. But the idea that instead of being bland, instead of sounding generics, instead of sounding like anybody else could have written this email, you're starting to sprinkle bits of Marisa all along the way. And the epiphany that I just had while hearing this is like, this is essentially what we do for the brand video, but like sprinkled throughout in words, where you're building the story of Marisa along the way with these little white chocolate covered Oreos in different parts of your copy. And then when I see them in the store, I think of you.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many people will respond to that email. Just say, oh my gosh, I love white chocolate covered Oreos too.
Mhm.
Or, yeah, I remember like they really do only come out at Christmas once a year, you know? So it starts to create these connection points with people. It adds some pop to the copy without feeling like we have to do so much work. Because people will say, my gosh, I don't know how to make it sound like me. If you did nothing else and you just looked at your next email or next social post, whatever it was, and just went through and made sure that there were a couple of things from your word closet, your accessories closet, it's going to start to sound more like you. So I
How
have
many words are in each of these? And just explain to me what the closet is and what the accessories is. Is the accessories like we use less of them?
no, they're both. So your words are like in mine is like jazzed, can't even, soup to nuts. Like those are the words. In my accessories closet, those are my favorite things. So it says in there like white chocolate covered Oreos, like lemon heads from the candy store, like, you know, those different favorite things. And your list can be as long or as short as it needs to be. So what do I mean by this? A lot of times in the Copy Confidence Society, people will say, well, I don't have a lot of words in my word closet. I don't have a lot of words. And that's okay. We don't need a million words. If there are 3 kind of go-to things that you always say, that's enough. We can always add to it. So people are like, I only really have like 3 things in my word closet. That's totally fine. The other thing is that you start there. The other thing is that we think that, but here's where you can usually uncover some more of those words. Number 1 is looking at text messages or emails that you send people like outside of your business, that you send to loved ones,
And
friends.
a best friend or somebody.
Yeah. Take a peek at how you're speaking to them because it's likely some of your words are in there. The other thing is if you have children in your life, very often the children are repeating back to you are things that you say. So I'll give you 2 examples of this. So Cassie, who was our curriculum specialist, who I worked with for a year, who went through every nook and cranny of the Coffee Confidence Society, soup to nuts.
Hmm.
Cassie started to kind of go through some of these exercises for herself, and she realized that her son always says to her, "Shut the front door," because Cassie says, "Shut the front door."
Right.
So now if you were to go to Cassie's first email, instead of saying, again, the generic, "Hi, welcome to my email list," Cassie could have something like, "Shut the front door. Mariana, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you joined my email list," right? Another great example of this is one of my best friends, Ashley, who I used to always tell her that she would always say, and I'm actually really good at knowing people's word closets because this is actually something that I created when I was a done for you copywriter. So this is how like my clients would come back to me and say, wow, this email really does sound like, because I would walk them through this exercise before I ever wrote anything. Our very first session together, I would ask them a cajillion questions to figure out their word closet and their accessories closet. So now when people speak to me, it's just natural in yours. I'll key up on them. And oh, I know right now, if any of my friends were like, write an email that sounded like me or a response to somebody, I could do it. I could totally do it. So my friend Ashley would always say, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And I remember her saying, do I say that all the time? So fast forward, now she has kids.
Mm.
And last year she texted me to tell me that she asked her son to put away his toys. And he looked at her and he said, oh, it's my pleasure. Yes. And I said, see, that's your word closet. So often it can start off small. We can always expand, but give yourself that opportunity to look in those places where some of those words might be lurking for you.
Right. And I'm guessing like a spouse and a friend are all people that you can ask also, like, what do I say all the time? What are the phrases that you associate with me? Now that I understand much better what a word closet is, I am thinking of the people that I know that do this, maybe unwillingly. But I had a coach last year that she had a couple of words: fire sauce, banana pants, like these really funny, like kind of boomer terms, like it's kind of old school,
I love it.
but they're cute and they're very personalized. They are endearing to some extent.
Yes.
Like, and her followers like started using them too, back at her because they obviously are just very innocent and very cute and just very fun to use also. Is there a moment where you can have too many of those words and people are like, I'm not identifying that they're yours. You just sound like you talk like a crazy person.
Yeah, that's a great question. I want to go back to something that you said, which is I think sometimes people think, oh, if my words, well, what if, like you said, they're like a boomer term or something that I tell people we get too caught up, and I'll die on this cross, about our ideal client to start. Well, what if the ideal client doesnn't resonate with it? Stop.
It's you. Yeah.
Stop. You have to be yourself first, and that's gonna bring people to you.
Right.
So when people are like, "Oh, what if they did?" I'm like, "No, let's go with that. Let's use those words," because like you're saying, a solid like 9 out of 10 times, you're gonna get all these responses back from people where they start to associate you with those words and phrases. So really lean into what's truly you. We're not putting on something that's fake or isn't you here. We're really leaning into that. And then with that being said, I don't know. This is a great question. Does it feel like it could ever be too much? I haven't come across it where I've seen like, oh, this is too much, but it's the same way when sometimes people come because we have editing sessions inside of the society. When sometimes people will bring an email or a social post that has like way too many emojis. And I gotta take it back a bit. It becomes like if you're a 90s kid like me, it's a little bit like a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper. It's just like covered and it's just, do you know what I'm talking about?
I think
Too much.
so for me is like when you pour way too many rainbow sprinkles on top of your ice cream. And it's like,
It's a bit much. We gotta pull it back.
yeah.
But with that being said, I would rather, so the actor in me, right? So in my former life, I was an actor. You better walk in with a solid idea about the character. Go overboard if you have to, because a director can pull you back, but a director does not have time to give you the character.
That's a great point. Wow.
So I tell people, give it to me. I got it. I can edit it. I can pull you back. So I'd rather see like so much personality, I can pull it back, as opposed to sitting on an editing session and literally trying to pull out from somebody. Okay, so what was your favorite cookie as a kid? Like,
It's always easy to cut out than it is to like bring it up in the first place. Yes, 100%. That's funny because as you said that, I definitely don't have an acting career, but I have filmed commercials. And one of the directors that I loved working with, a good friend of mine, has a studio in Manhattan. She's so brilliant about directing people who a lot of the commercials that we filmed are not, A-list actors. And they're people who have some acting acumen, but often need direction. And so she is always telling them like it should feel cheesy and it should feel over the top. It should feel exaggerated. And because the camera, in this case, so the camera is kind of like you, it takes away like a lot of that energy that we're seeing in person. In the edit, it kind of goes away or, through the camera somehow. It doesn't seem exaggerated. And some of them
yes,
are like, that's what we want. We want a lot of expression. We want a
yes, I learned this from I did a lot of commercials when I was acting. I was a mom in a
and you probably
Thanksgiving.
heard something similar, right?
Yes, I was a mom in a Thanksgiving commercial, and my line over and over again that I had to say was, "This year, I want the best bird for my family and my wallet." And when we were filming it late night at a Stop and Shop in New Jersey at like 2 in the morning with this turkey, it was very much like, you can go bigger, you can go like, and showing it to me, right? So I kind of learned from being on set and seeing this and watching this. Um, For sure. So I try to help people like, let's play. I think this gets lost right now in copy a lot is people forget to play.
That's a great point. Yes.
Yeah, I like to teach copy that yes, it's marketing, but there's also a creative side to copy. So I try to get people in the first part of the Copy Confidence Society. I'm like, don't worry, I got all the templates for you. Don't worry, I got it all. Okay. I was thrown to the wolves 11 years ago as a copywriter. So I've got you covered from lead magnets to sales pages to launch emails to website. I got you covered. We're going to get there. Don't worry.
Mm.
But in the first kind of part of the program, my goal is to really get people to play a bit more and uncover what we call your copy star, your word closet, really play because then we can take all of that. We create this whole like world for you. And then I show you how you could put that all into the template.
You're setting out your paint and then you know where to dip your
It's so true. But a lot of times copy is taught and there's nothing wrong. People say, well, I use this template or I use this and it didn't work for me. So the person will think, oh, maybe I'm not good at what I do, or the person I hired for this isn't good at what they do. And I'm like, no, you're great. The copywriter you bought that template from is great. It's because if you don't know what to put in the plug and play,
right.
my templates are not better than any other person's templates. They're just not. Copy is copy. It's standard. Marketing is, it's changing a bit, but it's standard in a lot of ways. What I think makes what we do unique in the society is that sandbox. And I think I've made the templates way easier to understand because what I started to notice is that a lot of copy is taught for more of like an advanced copywriter and not necessarily for business owners. And business owners are who need it the most.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't kind of in a place to hire a copywriter just yet.
I could learn how to write copy and be a really good, copywriters are traditionally people that marketing houses, marketing agencies, like they have in-person copywriters for a reason. The idea that you could learn how to write copy that sounds like you, that's personality driven, that's beautiful, that's colorful, that connects with people, that makes you unforgettable, that gets all of these little sparkles and juices flowing, and that converts. And I could learn how to do this myself. Like you said, I'm a business owner, not a creative, or I have like no background in writing. I actually really admire what you guys do. And it is so fascinating for me that you guys could take somebody that doesn't know how to do it, that, is coming from scratch, that knows how to write a best friend or write somebody that they're familiar with and knows how to maybe write a formal email, but doesn't understand how to take the bits from their personality driven conversations and apply marketing to it, apply, how we buy and all of the buyer psychology that goes into good writing. To me, it's what you guys are doing is amazing. And there are some parallels to what we do. I'll just say it. I probably couldn't teach what you do in the sense that it seems so hard to create frameworks around it. And you've created the word closet. You've mentioned a couple other things that like I can see how it would help somebody who doesn't have that writing experience understand how to do it. Like it's more of a step-by-step process whereby with these elements, with these paint colors that they can dip their stencil into, it becomes easier.
100%. And that's my goal. Because I tell people, if you're a business owner, congrats, you're a copywriter. If there's so much, congrats. There's an email that has to get written. There's a social post that has to get out. It's so much goes hand in hand. So it is perhaps the most important skill you ever have. I always say like your business has three big.
You're absolutely right. It is like one of the most important skills.
It's the most important. You have to know how to sell in a way that feels good. If you don't have buyers, you don't have a business. That's number one. You have to know how to call in the right people to sell to. We know this is audience growth or lead generation. And then in order to make 1 and 2 happen, you have to know what to say and how to say it. So you can call in the right people to sell to. This is why copy and messaging is like that foundation. It's so important.
Right.
That's what we really try to give to people.
Not list also, but probably.
Oh, yes. To me, absolutely. To me, that's a given. Yes. This is what I think about offer creation. I believe that when you put the society together in real time, I didn't sit in a cave and create the society and then go sell it. So I always shy because people like, I have to perfect this within an inch of its life. I mean, we're going on when this airs, the 13th time I've launched the Copy Confidence Society, and we're still tweaking it. I've decided to go focus on one thing and just keep going deeper and deeper into it. But yes, for sure. You want to make sure you have, something that feels really good and feels good to your people, that they're like, yes, I want this. And I think your words and how you talk about it give you that foundation to make those things happen. Yeah.
The reverse is true. You made an excellent point, and I believe that in that 100%. Like, do not wait till it's perfect. Create it with your people, but obviously you need kind of a start, a minimal viable product, or an idea that you can at
Totally.
least start testing with them, right?
Yeah.
But the opposite point of that, like having a fantastic offer or having an offer that's let's say, to me, a fantastic offer is one that's given results. So it's not just an idea on paper. It's not just the course that's been recorded. Let's say you've gotten some people in the door. The idea that you can have an amazing offer without knowing how to get people in, with losing subscribers after people do opt in to your lead magnet, right? Or when you get in front of a stage, or when you um, are on social media, whatever other signals you're putting out there. Hopefully you are putting out signals. Let's not even cover that. But you're putting out signals and you don't know how to get people emotionally connected with what you're saying and how to keep them there. And I think the word closet is a great idea. I've never thought of a word closet. So this is all like my wheels are turning right now. Like, what's my word closet? What are my accessories? But the idea, the importance of being able to capture people once you're in front of them and to make them never forget you, which is exactly what we do with a brand video. The idea being that once people watch that, you're unforgettable and they have now created real estate in their minds about who you are. And to me, when I hear about word closet and all of the different ways that we're sprinkling our personality into our copy everywhere we go, those are like mini hooks, right? Like those are things that are keeping us sticky along the way. So I love the sound of all of this. I do want to hit one other question before we take a quick step back and get an overview of how you structured your business, which I love hearing about. This is actually a question that your awesome assistant, who we'll give a shout out to, Jelaine, sent me as a question to ask you. And I was like, I love this question. So, thoughts on email structure?
Mhm.
Always need a story in an email? Is there always a CTA? How do you approach good email marketing?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Thank you, Jelaine. Hi there. Uh, so I want you were just saying something that I said that I thought, oh, I wanna say this. When we're talking about the word closet, so when people come in and join the email list and they go through the welcome sequence, I think what makes me feel memorable to people is a mix of the word closet and the stories that I choose to tell. So the biggest story in there and the one that people always respond to and talk to me about years later, and it's been in there for years, is this story I tell about my grandfather. It's called the banana milkshakes business model. It's like 6 or 7 in the welcome sequence. And it's massive for people. And it's a simple story of how my grandpa used to make me banana milkshakes when I was a kid. And fast forward to me making banana milkshakes for him, and very much about our relationship. And I still have it in there. My grandpa died in 2021 when he was 99, and, I still have it in there. And I cannot tell you how many responses I get from people
Wow.
about this story about my grandfather. So I think what really makes you memorable is a mix of the word closet and the stories that you tell. So for email, I believe so strongly in storytelling. It's our oldest, not, and I know everybody, and I know if you're out there listening, stories is how we connect to people.
Oh, yeah.
And in studies show that when somebody is hearing a story, it's easier for them to understand a teachable moment or swallow a bitter pill or whatever it is that they have to do, as opposed to just hearing facts and things.
And yeah, it's also like 20 times more memorable.
Yeah. So I always am telling people, where can we insert more stories? Now, does it need to be a massive story? No. We can have a little micro moment, I call it, in our emails. So I always want to say, where can we include? Do we need a story in every single email? No, you do not. But the more that you incorporate stories in your emails, the more likely you're going to get people responding back to you. You're going to get starting to create those connections with people when you put storytelling at the forefront. When it comes to a call to action, no, I do not think you always need to have a call to action.
I'm in the same camp. Yep.
Yeah. I believe that if we've told a great story or we've said something, we don't need to constantly guide people to like a next step or a little nugget. I'm telling people, okay, want to know more about this? Click here. Maybe there's a longer blog post. or a video to go look at, or a page if I need them to go and sign up for a masterclass or something. But I think we can get caught up in that. And what I've seen is that a lot of times our buyers are actually our lurkers. Abs are not necessarily the people who get hit
Over and over and over again. Yes.
Yeah. People still join the copy.
Everything. They're not necessarily even opening all the emails.
No, it's so true. People join the Copy Confidence Society, and I'm like, who are you? Well, I've read all the emails. I look at everything. They've never responded, right? So I think we can get caught up in this. So yes, we can use CTA, but also often we don't need to. I've sent so many emails where I've just told the story, I've laid out what it is, and I have my sign off, and they're just like a little palate cleanser.
Yeah.
They're to have some fun. Every year, I send this email about my grandpa and the story of this man he used to pick up for church and how he forgot to pick him up one day, and it's like the end of their relationship. I send this email once a year to my email list. And at the end of it, I say, so what does this have to do with your business? I say, absolutely nothing. I was hoping to make you laugh today, and I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll be back in your inbox next week. So very often, I'm sending things like that throughout the year, little pockets of
Sprinkling them in where
Yep.
it's not always directing people to a sale.
Like if people have the constant book a call as a call to action at the end of their emails, I call it the boy who cried wolf. There's no actual urgency there. And then people go, well, people aren't booking a call. I'm like, well, why would they? There's no actual urgency. So how do we start to actually create real urgency, not fake urgency? So start to create those connections, these micro moments for people, like micro little next steps to take. So looking at that, every October we send an email series called the Spooktacular series, where it's taking Halloween movies and comparing them to business and copy. The call to action for those are really mostly hit reply or tell me if you like this one or whatever it is, but this is my favorite one.
One thing that I'll say to you, Marisa, is that I feel like once you've created that personal and emotional connection, everyone is so much more forgiving of something like a repeat email or something like an email where the story wasn't out of the park awesome, right? Or where, you struggled a little bit with your copy here or there, or your landing page isn't like perfectly beautifully designed. But if I come over to your house for dinner and there's a little piece of your meal that's burned, or like the candle isn't turning, whatever, we're so much more forgiving once we have an emotional connection with that person. And I feel the same way that you, by sending those emails that are not always massive calls to action or buy this now, that you're creating that goodwill for people to feel like you're their friend also. And that, here you are spending time like building that relationship with them and not just try to sell them all the time. I call this like, I am not your personal ATM machine, is when I, end up on somebody's email list where they are just constantly trying to sell me and constantly, I'm only there to help fund their incredible lifestyle. Don't like
Yeah,
that way.
100%. I think that there's a balance there of creating that kind of community and selling as well. And I make it very clear the times that we're selling, the times that we aren't selling, and what they can expect from me. And so when people join the email list, that the final welcome email that they get spells it out. Here's what it looks like when I'm selling. Here's what it looks like. I always joke, I say I grew up Catholic. So in ordinary time, here's what ordinary time looks like. And I spell it out for people. So I've said it, there's an email that goes, and then I just can continue on with
Right.
how I'm doing those emails and really focusing most for me on creating that connection. And I also always tell people, like, yes, I love that you said that we're more forgiving with people once we've created that connection. I couldn't agree more. At the same time, I also think that I encourage people to put things out there more, even if they don't think that they're perfect. Not in the whole, we hope that people will forgive us, but it's also very interesting to see things that we often don't think are very good will resonate in ways we just have no way of knowing. So I always tell people, get more out there in your emails and the way that you're connecting with people, because you're going to be your harshest critic. And most of the time your readers are not going to be. And if we focus in on that story,
You didn't even realize was that strong or that amazing.
totally. And if you hone in on those like micro moments, those pieces of storytelling, you hone in on the word closet and the accessories closet, it's going to be good enough, more than good enough, and being able to send that out there and start to see what kind of responses that you're getting.
All right. So that was a really good segue when you were talking about you lay it out in that last email. Run me through how you set up your business. And then I'm going to leave you with one last question, which is what do you feel is different about launching and doing an online business in 2025 than in the past couple of years? We talked about the conversion rates for some of the landing pages went from absolutely out of the park spectacular to amazing,
Yeah.
like a 10% drop from 60 to 50, which is still an awesome conversion rate, obviously. But
Yeah.
so bullet point for me, what your offers are.
Yeah. So our main offer is the Copy Confidence Society, where we help business owners craft what we said, your own copyable message and the personality filled copy that dazzles. It's a course and community. We launch twice a year, once in the winter, once in the fall. We also have what's called winter and fall. Yep, February and usually September in there a bit. It's changed a little bit this year because I did a whole astrology business VIP day last year, which was really cool. And then the Copy Chat is our summit. It is free to come to the Copy Chat. We do it once a year. We're gearing up for season 9 of the Copy Chat. And that's where I take my favorite business owners, marketers, coaches, creatives, and we talk about copy that is making money and attracting clients. It's free to listen into the Copy Chat, and these are interviews that you want. We're not just, there's no fluff inside the Copy Chat. And we donate all of the profits of the Copy Chat to charity. So the Copy Chat community has raised over $130,000 for
Oh, wow.
organizations like Soul Fire Farm, the Headstrong Project, Sage USA, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So that's our world. And then, there's opportunities to do things like VIP days with me and other things, but our main focus is the Copy Confidence Society and the Copy Chat.
That's such a beautiful offer suite, my friend. So that last question for you, what are you seeing that's different this year than previous years in the online space?
Yeah. People need more time. They need more touch points. People are not a lot less willing to part with their money. So you need to be able to create a compelling case, and you have to show up live. The idea that people think, and I will die on this cross, that they can just record a webinar and put it up, it ain't gonna fly in 2025. People have smelled it, they've seen it, like they don't want it. They want access to humans. That to human connection is so important in 2025. That's why we do a live masterclass. There's an opportunity to get your questions answered. We have a Q&A call, editing call. We're doing a live messaging workshop at the time of this recording tomorrow. Like, people want that human to human connection. And so I'm telling people, the more live you can be, the better. That's what we're seeing. And I feel really great that it's something we've always done. I can do this webinar 40 times, So finding those moments where you can be live with people, I think is really, really going to make a difference. And the more that you can show, we have an open house where we bring members of the society to it. And I do not ask people before what their win is or what they're going to talk about. I put it out in the group and I say, hey, we have an open house coming out. Do you want to come and talk about the society? I do not know what people will say. I also don't do the case studies. Members of the community interview each other. I'm taken out of it, so that they don't feel like they have to show up and blow smoke up. I want them to feel, so with open house, you might say, okay, yeah, Marisa, I'm available to come to the Tuesday open house. Great. In between where I'm showing Teachable, where I'm showing the Facebook group, I'll say, okay, Mariana, can you unmute yourself and share about your experience inside the Copy Confidence Society? So the more that you can really show people and give them access to people in the community that they can ask questions, do all of that.
Or it's at least deflated. And I think the idea that people really don't want just the promise of results. They want to make sure they'll have the help they need to get the results. And so I've seen a decrease in hearing from my peers. I've seen a decrease in straight up like DIY course purchases versus some sort of live component. And I don't mean it always has to be a container where it's, 12 weeks or whatever of intense test
Right.
walks, but it's at least like you will get access to 5 Q&As or whatever. You will it gets to get your questions answered
So
and map where you're at. And I feel like that is making a big difference to people as well, whether they buy in or not. I said, yeah, this is something I'm going to spend my money on. It's just going to sit on my digital shelf forever and I'm never going to touch it.
yes, it's really important to me that people use the society, which is why we have we have these little mini surveys at the end of every module, and we look at it as a team every Tuesday to see, okay, what's going on in that person's world? What did they say? How can we follow up with them and point them?
How many
to the
members do you
thing?
have at a time?
at a given time, people have the opportunity to stay on if they want to as well. But every kind of launch will add anywhere from, probably like 150 active people inside of this is that give or take. So I try to make sure that it's been very important to me. I heard this term a few years ago at a conference and I just wrote it down and kept circling it and circling it. This idea of how do you scale intimacy? And that is something that I am on a mission to do. Is how do I make people still feel seen in a bigger container? Is it possible?
Yeah.
And I am on a mission to do it. So I don't have everybody that can always make all of the calls. And I don't want them to feel like, oh, if I'm not going to wake up at 2 a.m. to come to this call, then I'm not going to get anything. People ask me questions. I come in on Tuesdays, answer the questions we have until the end of the week. We go back and forth with each other. It's like an open office hour for the
Interesting.
week. We usually try to close the loop by end of the week. We have a community call where they come together. I'm not even at the community call. They come together to co-work, to talk to each other. So where can we have all those touch points for people to scale the intimacy?
All right, my dear friend, let us send people to this freebie that you've talked about, which is the 50 scroll stopping subject lines.
Yeah.
Where can they find that?
Yeah. It's simple as marisacorcoran.com/subject lines. We've been talking a lot about email, right? We can do all the work in an email, but if no one's opening it,
Oh, yeah.
right? So I give you 3 subject line formulas to choose from, and I actually show you full email examples in there so that you can see how it all works together. And different ones you can kind of plug and play and swipe and use. And it is a resource. I know you will take it and use it. And once you're inside there, you'll get that welcome sequence we've been talking about with the word closet, the accessories closet. You can learn more about the copy chat and all that good stuff too.
That's right. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Marisa. Love chatting with you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. I will see you on the next episode of Empire Secrets. Bye for now.